Hi, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Alexa. Today's conversation is your second act. I mean, we're retired now. You know, most of you that are watching are either getting ready to retire or retired, I'm sure. So what now? You know, what's next? So, you gonna just wait to die, or you going to start over, do something new, reinvent yourself? And what I'm calling it is your second act. You know, the first act is over. Let's go into the second act now. I've been retired for, I guess, about 15 years now, about 15, 16 years. And my retirement was my second retirement was forced because of not ill health, but, your body gives out after a certain period of time. And I had retired from my regular job, and, boredom set in, and I started a new business in catering. I had an international catering company, which demanded a lot of physical work. It was very physically demanding. And my knees went, and I was 61, 62, something like that. And of course, that intervening period, of having a knee replaced, and then, them saying, okay, you need the other one done too. And, both of mine were done. Doctor said, which one do you want first? So that was in 2018. I had my knees replaced. So my knees were replaced, which took a while to get back into activity for that. And then as soon as my knees were replaced, my hips started to go. So that forced retirement. There was no longer it was ever going to be you were back to getting it, because we're in 2006 now, and I had my hips replaced 2 years ago. So 2 years today, or yesterday, I had my hips replaced. So so that's been from 2018 to 2026. Those years in there, you had a little bit of time when you were physically able to do things, but no, working was not an option. And about that time, you started to think about what are you going to do with your life. This, you're not gonna do anything with this. And my sister, who is in a similar situation to me, she's 11 years younger. She's only about to turn 65, but she's also not married, and has no children, and so on and so forth. So we have decided to band up together. And she was reluctant to follow my dream because she has a dream of her own. But she lives in America, and the political climate in America is not very conducive to freedom at the moment. So she's now sort of come on board with my original dreams, which is to move to France. So she was very reluctant about that, for the past few years that we've been talking about it. But now she's a little bit more, because the situation in America is dire, of course. For those of you who are new to this channel and don't know, I had a green card and lived in America for 66 years, and I've just been deported. Well, told I can't return. So, it's for me, its situation is not that bad, because I'm retired, and I've sold my house quite some time ago, and so not too bad for me. Plus, I have a relationship with England, and I still have an English passport, so I'm okay here. But I've always wanted to live in France because the cost of living is less, or at the moment probably similar. But the pros and cons of it are, it's a good place for retirees, of English or American. And now with political climate in America, they're more apt to be more generous to Americans. But the situation there is, you can buy property for a lot less than you can here in England or in America. And you have community. Their communities are better. They're the times that I have spent there in my research to find somewhere, and I used to work in France a lot, and I have a lot of friends that live there. You find communities, and the expats stick together, or the immigrants, they stick together, and you have a community of English speaking people, and you also have the integration of getting to know your neighbors. I mean, the French are a little bit more reserved than English and American people, but once you get to know them, they're very generous people and very community oriented, until we take care of our own sort of thing. But it's a nice place to retire to, and it has a lot of advantages that are good for retirees. And their medical system is incredibly good. Their medical system is one of the top ones in the world. It's really a good system. And for retirees, it's you have to contribute a little bit until you get your permanent visa, but it's not that bad for what you get, and you get seen a lot easier than you do here in England. I mean, here, just going to see the local doctor is a bit of a trial. But anyways, back to the subject of your second act. This is what my sister and I are going to do. We're going to move to France. So this May, I'm going to go on my reconnaissance tour to find a place, because we've decided, instead of just jumping in and buying something, we're going to rent in a few different areas that we have decided, yeah, this one looks like really, really good for us, and I think that we would be happy there. So instead of just making the big mistake of diving in and buying something and being stuck with it, and then after a couple of months or a year and think, yeah, no, this isn't for us, we're going to rent in a few different places that we think that we may like, because my sister is one that likes to live in the country. She's like a pickaxe and a cigar, and chopping down trees, and and me, I'm a 5-star hotel with a spa. And I like this. I like water. I like to be by the sea. So we have a few issues that we have to sort out there. So we have to find something that accommodates both of our desires. Like a house that's half wooden shack, half 5-star hotel. It's going to be kind of hard to find. But all jokes aside, this is what we are going to look for in this coming year. So the videos could become interesting, because I'm going for the month of May on this reconnaissance tour on my own, because my sister is still in the States, and she's not retiring until this summer, and she has to sell her house, and also her mother-in-law, her former mother-in-law, they're very close, they're like mother and daughter, is 95, 96 years old now, so she wants to spend some time with her before coming. So my sister probably won't come until closer to Christmas. But so we have the logistics of her getting her visa from America, because she does have an American passport, and my getting my visa from here in England. But some of the things that we need to do will be similar, like bank accounts, driver's license changing. I still have an American driver's license, so those are exchanged evenly for certain states in America. So those sort of things need to be sorted out, and I do have a car here in England, but of course you're driving on the steering wheels and the passenger seat. So there are a few things that we need to work out, and where we're going to rent, and what we're going to do. And at the moment, the weather in France is incredibly iffy, with the rains and floods, and down into Spain it's really thick. And one of the places that we were interested in living is the Lot at Garonne, which is near Bergerac and Bordeaux, and it's on a river. So we may have to rethink that a little bit, but you don't know until you go. So I'm going to go and spend a week in various places, and rent some accommodation and see, places that we think that we could live in for, a month at a time, and so on and so forth, and see where we want to be, and what the lay of the land is. Because you don't really know until you actually live somewhere what everything is. And the French are absolutely in love with bureaucracy. Even a simple task takes 20 pages of paper, and they send it back to you, reject. But they don't tell you why it's rejected, and you go through all of this, and then you find out that you used the wrong color ink. And a tip, always use black. But it's those sort of things. So, getting used to that, and learning, the frustrations of not being able to communicate with people is also another problem. Because I've been trying to learn to speak French for like 40 years or more. And, I think I speak decent French, but unfortunately for me, the French don't think that I do. My sister has been doing Duolingo, and she's getting quite good, but she's never had an actual conversation with a French person. So, and she's a little bit shyer when it comes to that sort of thing that I am. But, so these sort of things are things that we have to come to terms with. So it should be an exciting time. But the point of all of this is, you can make a change. I mean, I'm 75, in March I'm going to be 76 years old. And my sister is 65. And we're not dead yet. We still have that second act in us. We all have a thing, and it's just fear that holds you back from doing these things. The fear of the unknown, uncertainty, and not having the safety of your home. My sister and I, although we're very, very similar in a lot of things, are different. Our lifestyles have been quite different since we've been on our own as adults. My sister has been quite stable. She's lived in her house for nearly 30 years. And me, in that 30 years, I've had maybe 30 houses. So the difference, there's a definite difference there. I'm not afraid of change and packing up and moving. And for my sister, this is going to be a new experience, and not having that safety net of your own home, your own, this is mine, this is my possession. No matter how much of a money pit that is, it's still a sort of a safety net. And I think a lot of us suffer from that, or, that your home is your castle, but it's also a huge financial drain. So, once you get over that emotion and let go of that, then you have the possibility of having a more dynamic life in your later life. So, you don't close yourself off to it. Take that leap. Open that door and step over the threshold, because there could be a very rewarding life for you out there, and your second act could be a lot more rewarding than what you currently have. Because you have to sort of look at yourself and say, is this how I want to end up? Is this how I want to end my days, in this house by myself, not experiencing, some life? What did you work all those years for? You worked all those years to enjoy things. Think back on what you thought that you would do when you retire. Like when you first started working, saying, 30 years and then I'll be free to go skydiving and live in Asia and travel the world and ride a donkey or a camel or whatever. Think back on those things. What did you think that you wanted to do with your life? And there is still the possibility of doing it. So don't be afraid. Take a leaf out of our book and follow us and see how our adventure unfolds. And, then there's hope for everybody. Because if a 76-year-old and a 65-year-old women can go off into the wild and live, then so can you. So, tune in. See what happens. Follow us. The dynamic, adventurous sisters forge a path through France. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.